Don't watch this alone. This is not a movie doll. This is a real artifact, locked behind blessed glass. Priests were involved. Warnings were ignored. And people died. This is the real case of Annabelle. In the late 1960s, a nursing student named Donna received a Raggedy Ann doll as a gift from her mother. They would leave it sitting on a chair, only to come home and find it cross-legged on the couch. Lou often stayed over at the apartment and had several terrifying experiences. He walked over to it, feeling a sudden chill run down his spine. As he got closer, he felt a presence behind him. Desperate for answers, they contacted a medium. A seance was held in the apartment. The medium told them a story about a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins, whose spirit supposedly resided on the property where their apartment building now stood. The friendly, childlike presence was gone, replaced by something much darker. You've heard the stories, you've seen the movies. But what really happened after Annabelle, the world's most infamous haunted doll, was locked away? This isn't just another spooky tale. This is a deep dive into the documented events that prove some doors are better left unopened. Today, we're going beyond the jump scares to uncover the chilling truth behind the glass. It all started when paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren took possession of the doll. They knew this wasn't child's play. This was a conduit for something inhuman, something malevolent. Their first step was to contain it. But how do you imprison something that isn't alive? You don't cage the object. You cage the entity attached to it. Annabelle was placed inside a specially constructed glass case, a modern-day prison for an ancient evil. The case itself wasn't just ordinary glass. It was inscribed with holy symbols, a spiritual barrier designed to hold the darkness at bay. Priests were brought in to perform a binding ritual, blessing the case, the room, and the doll itself. They bathed the area in holy water and recited prayers of exorcism, creating a spiritual lockdown. And with this containment came strict, non-negotiable rules, broadcast to anyone who dared to visit the Warrens' occult museum. Rule number 1, do not, under any circumstances, open the case. Rule number 2, do not touch the glass. Rule number 3, do not mock, challenge, or provoke the doll in any way. These weren't for show. They were born from a terrifying understanding of the entity's nature. It feeds on attention. It thrives on fear, mockery, and disbelief. Every taunt, every tap on the glass, is like a meal, strengthening the presence trapped within. The warnings were clear. Your attention is its power. You'd think a blessed, sealed case would be the end of the story. But it was just the beginning of a new, horrifying chapter. The strange incidents didn't stop. They just became more subtle, more sinister. The security cameras in the museum, state-of-the-art for their time, would inexplicably glitch and malfunction, but only when pointed directly at Annabelle's case. It was as if the very presence within was disrupting the technology, refusing to be fully captured. Maintenance crews were baffled, finding no logical explanation for the localized electronic interference. Even more disturbing were the audio recordings. The Warrens would leave recorders running overnight in the sealed room. When they played the tapes back, amidst the silence, they captured faint, disembodied whispers. The words were often indistinct, a chilling murmur when the room was verifiably empty. It was the sound of something restless, something still present, still communicating from behind the glass. These early signs were a grim confirmation. The prison was holding, but the prisoner was still very much awake. As the museum's notoriety grew, so did the number of visitors, and with them came the skeptics, the thrill-seekers, and the foolish. Despite the clear warnings posted everywhere, many couldn't resist testing the boundaries. Visitors would mock the doll's vacant stare, laughing at the stories. They'd snap photos, posing defiantly next to the case. Some would tap on the glass, a seemingly harmless act that was a direct violation of the rules. Each tap was an invitation, a knock on the door of something that should never be answered. One incident stands as the most infamous and tragic example of this defiance. A young man, visiting with his girlfriend, decided to put on a show. He openly challenged Annabelle, laughing and banging on the glass case. He told the doll that if it was so powerful, it should prove it and do its worst. He dismissed the warnings as folklore, a cheap trick for tourists. Ed Warren, present at the time, immediately ejected him from the museum, sternly telling him, "Son, you need to leave." The consequences were swift and devastating. Later that same day, as the young man was riding his motorcycle, he lost control under mysterious circumstances. He veered off the road and crashed into a tree, dying instantly. His girlfriend, who survived, later recounted that, at the moment of the crash, they had been laughing and joking about the doll. This tragedy drove home a critical and terrifying point that the priests and the Warrens had tried to explain. The doll itself does not move, it is a physical anchor, but the inhuman entity attached to it is not bound by physical laws. It can move, it can influence, and it can reach out beyond the glass. The doll stays put, but the evil follows. Life for the museum's staff and guards became a daily exercise in nerve-shredding tension. The area around Annabelle's case felt different, heavy. Many guards reported experiencing sudden, debilitating headaches and waves of intense nausea the closer they got to the display. The symptoms would vanish almost as quickly as they appeared once they moved away. It was a physical manifestation of the negative energy emanating from the case, a spiritual sickness that seeped into the real world. One security guard's experience was so terrifying it caused him to quit on the spot. While making his rounds in the dead of night, patrolling the silent, artifact-filled room, he heard a sound that froze his blood. It was a clear, distinct whisper, right beside his ear, speaking his name. He was completely alone. The voice was something he couldn't explain, but he knew where it came from. He dropped his flashlight and ran from the building, refusing to ever return. Others reported more subtle but equally unsettling phenomena. Guards watching the overnight security feeds swore they saw the doll's shadow shift and elongate on the wall behind it, even when the lighting in the room was static and unchanged. Some claimed that from the corner of their eye, they'd catch the doll in a slightly different position than it was moments before, even though they knew the case had not been opened. It was a constant psychological assault. Was it real, or was their mind playing tricks? With Annabelle, the line between perception and reality is always blurred. The glass was never opened. The locks were never tampered with. Because the entity doesn't need a physical escape. It has a more effective method. It reaches through the human mind. It uses our own curiosity, our skepticism, and our belief as a bridge. Every person who stands before the case and wonders, is it real? Is opening a small door? Every person who scoffs is giving it attention. Every person who believes in its power is feeding it. It doesn't need to break the glass. It reaches through it, latching onto the energy you provide. To this day, Annabelle remains in her prison of blessed glass, now housed in the Warrens' new occult museum location. She sits there, still, silent, a vacant-eyed sentinel in a little white dress. But the silence is deceptive. She is waiting. The stories and the warnings persist for a reason. They say the doll itself will never follow you home. You don't have to worry about finding it sitting in your rocking chair. But what's attached to it? That's a different story. It can latch onto you, an unseen passenger attracted by your focus, your fear, or your foolish challenge. And once it has noticed you, it doesn't need to force its way in. It just waits. It waits for you to give it permission, an invitation. Through a nightmare, a moment of weakness, or a careless word. You've been watching Tales of the Dark. Thank you for joining us on this unsettling journey. If you find these hidden histories as fascinating as we do, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell, because some warnings exist for a reason, and the scariest stories are the ones that are true. Stay safe, and whatever you do, don't mock the doll.